Hey, friends. Welcome to another episode of a Ladies Night Radio Show. I'm your host, Mysterious Jax, and we are coming to you live from the Good News Studio tonight and every Friday night at 7:30. And, of course, I got a full house tonight. I'm excited for everybody that got in today. It's like the first day of freedom for here in L.A. County. I don't know. Have you guys gone anywhere? Let me unmute you guys real quick. Have you guys gone out, Madi?
This is my first stop. This is going to determine where I go next.
Hey, that's right. If you know that voice, that's Madi on the mic. Say what's up to the people.
Hey, y'all. Happy Friday. Feliz Viernes, everybody.
Hey. And next to her, we have the beautiful Stacy.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hey. So serious. And next to Stacy, we got the infamous Nick Hamilton.
What's happening?
What up, Nick? It's your first time on Ladies Night.
Yep.
I'm excited.
Hopefully it won't be the last.
Hey, all right. And you guys know we have the infamous, the lady lover over here.
Sweating like T.D. Jackson.
Man, he don't understand this what I do, but I got to be here with the ladies, man. You know I love it.
You already know who that is. That's Michael the PG.
Yes, sir.
Coming to you from Courtside Radio.
Yep.
And also just to know, Nick Hamilton has actually his own show here on the Good News Sports in Studio 2 every Saturday morning at 10:30. So what can they?
10 a.m.
Sorry, I'm sorry,
10
10 a.m. Look at me messing up. I'm sorry. That's why I'm a studio manager for one. Okay, that's your studio manager right there, number two. Let them know what they can find on your show if they tune in on Saturdays.
Man, just sport, what's going on in the world of sports, and lately, obviously, what's going on in life. And just trying to, deal with it and cope with it and try to break it down the best way we know how.
Yeah, and you actually have a few podcasts, right?
Yeah, I actually have the NH Experience, which is a digital video show basically highlighting the guests, whoever I feature on that particular episode. So we talk about their plight from where they started to where they are now, mixing a little bit of current events, have a little bit of fun too. And then every week, the Opposite Reaction, which is a weekly podcast, is uncut and raw with myself and my co-host Jackie Ray. So we do that, get together, talk about a variety of topics, no matter what it is, whether we disagree with each other or disagree with the mainstream. That's how we get out.
That's right. And I see you doing your thing over there, doing a lot of interviews on the radio with Mr. Roggins, I think it is.
Yeah, Fred Rogan.
Yeah. Look at me not
sure.
knowing. I don't really do sports, as you can see. This is Ladies Night, damn it. You on the Ladies Night.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, we got to get it tight, get it right. You dig?
He a legend, though. I like Fred Rogan.
Yeah. I was gonna, and Nick too. I don't know if you guys know, but he's coming up. You guys are gonna know his name real soon. Yeah, he is working.
Your mouth to God's ears. Hello.
That's right.
He got his legendary status already.
He does. I always send him messages like, man, you make me feel like I'm not working enough, because he's always on it, and I really appreciate that, like, motivation, inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
Well, here on Ladies Night, we like to talk about anything from family, love, sex, relationships, mental health, pretty much anything that we as women talk during our Ladies Night, while still enjoying a good Friday night, which is why you see all the drinks on the table. So feel free to help yourself. But I know some of my topics have been heavy lately, and I wanted to make sure that I use my platform and my voice to bring light to these topics that might make people uncomfortable, but it's definitely necessary for our society, for us to grow and be better human beings on this world. So that's why I have all of you guys here. I know that you guys all have different, perspective on everything that's going on, and I can't wait to hear it. And yeah, we're gonna listen to each other. You guys might, get heated. It's okay though, just as long as we stay respectful. Mm-hmm. And if you see me like rapping in UWeb, it's just to keep everybody on time. So yeah, but before we do, we're gonna go ahead and really quick. I don't know if you guys know, but today is the update on the quarantine life. Is day 92, and it's actually the first day that California allows schools, day camps, bars, gyms, and professional sports to reopen. So
Not the gym.
Hey,
Are
bowling alleys open yet? I'm trying to go bowling.
No,
man.
I don't think bowling
alleys.
alleys.
Wait a minute.
Man, let's open up them schools. Hurry up.
Right.
Jesus.
Hey, Nick, really mean that.
I damn sure mean that every inch of
Why?
my fiber.
Are you a teacher or are you?
No, I have a son. So
How old?
6.
And he's already driving you crazy?
He been driving me crazy ever since he came out the womb. Are you serious right now? You talking like a person that ain't got no kids. That's what
I don't.
Yeah,
I have
see, that's what I
I've
know.
been taking care of my 4-year-old niece, but I return her after
right.
3
You
o'clock.
give her back.
I'm like, here you go.
Ain't no giving back when you got your own. You like, Lord,
This is
please
true.
take this person off my hands.
Hey, so Marty, you hear that? We gotta wait, okay?
No.
Yikes.
The time is ticking. We're trying to, get those tax exemptions. We're trying
You
to
right
get
about
those
that.
tax
You a hot
write-offs.
mess. I can't. All
Stimulus
right.
packages.
Yeah,
Fact.
exactly. We're trying to get that extra 600.
I'll talk to you after the show.
Hello.
You can say it right now.
We don't need to
say it
talk
right now.
We don't need to talk to figure it out.
Oh, okay. This love right there. I love it.
Man.
You
Black
done?
love, brown pride, boy.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, we got some cheeseman for you guys. This week in Starbucks was hit with an online backlash and renewed calls for a boycott following reports that it has banned employees from wearing pins and T-shirts at work in support of Black Lives Matter protests. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah, and they issued a
Yes.
statement, too, saying that they're going to allow people to wear Black Lives Matter
And they're
all
going to
that
sell
stuff.
it. They're going to sell shirts.
They're going to
now.
sell it for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is.
They finna monetize on it now.
I can't wait for us to jump right into this because they only do this after people are on their head. You look at Drew
Yeah.
Brees. People got on his head. He want to switch his stance. And now Starbucks is the same. They realize, damn, black people buy a lot of our drinks. So if our workers want to support, hey, we need to make sure we on board. But it lets you know what they really feel, that they come out with this first to say, don't wear that to work today. So,
Hey,
man,
I mean-
I don't even drink them anyway, so I'm good.
Okay, so pretty much to go back to that, they were saying that they had a policy on it as far as, whenever job you have, like they have policies on your clothing, your attire. And so like when I used to work at Best Buy, we had to wear either khakis or black pants and our blue polos. That was it. You couldn't wear anything else. You couldn't wear an orange undershirt under it. Nothing colored. It was either white or black. So I understand that jobs, just to be like devil's advocate to see on the other side. I did see that they said the reason that is that I was trying to explain to my niece is because they were literally trying, I guess, like people that are then complaining like, okay, if you're going to give the pass to wear Black Lives Matter pins and T-shirts, then this is going to open up the fact for people to wear All Lives Matter T-shirts and wear the red Trump hats or the say, what's it called? Make
MAGA.
America Great Again. Yeah, that shit. So then how do you balance that? Because, I'm all for it, because Starbucks ended up making pins for the LGBT community for them to rock that. And so, what?
So they did that. They've been doing that every time it's Pride Month for years now. They come
Yes.
out with, we support our pride, we support our LGBTQ community, which is
Facts.
beautiful. But it's like, okay, you realize people that are LGBTQ identified, they are black. There are black people that identify. So the issue is now like they're saying like, oh, it's a political statement. Like saying Black Lives Matter should not be political. Like the MAGA hat is political
Yeah.
because it's specifically for Trump supporters.
Right.
But being like Black Lives Matter, that's not political.
Where was
I mean,
Starbucks
that's-
started?
I mean, that's
Seattle?
Seattle, Washington.
Seattle, okay.
Seattle, Washington.
I mean, I smelled something. It smelled like bullshit.
Yeah.
Because listen, like she said, when you can't delegate which group of people you're going to go after. Either you go after the group, primary group of people, or you don't go after anybody at all. And the fact that they made such an emphasis on the LGBTQ community, which is fine, but don't eliminate the Black Lives Matter or Black Lives, period.
Yeah.
That's what we're going through in this country. I mean, people have lost jobs for saying all lives matter.
Facts.
There was a
Yes.
play-by-play announcer for the Sacramento Kings that lost his job because he said all lives matter. We all know all lives matter is connected to usually some type of white supremacy,
Yep.
which is why we have the issues that we have. People were posting things from Chick-fil-A. They had T-shirts that said Blue Lives Matter. They had other T-shirts that said
Wait,
all lives matter.
at their job?
Oh yeah,
I don't really go to
On
Chick-fil-A.
shirts.
Chick-fil-A. You
On
sick.
shirts.
But their person has come out, like their CEO has come out and been like anti-homophobic. Like that's why they don't open on Sundays. Oh,
Yeah.
that's why they don't open on Sundays. Because
Okay.
his
They're a
CEO
religious
is,
group.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're like
religious.
very religious like that.
I think they're Southern Baptist. Well, they started in the South. I mean, that's where they originated in the South.
In the
So I mean, they're very religious based when it comes to that, and they are. I don't want to say their political affiliation, but I will say that they act as though they're more right than left, and that's what they portray. So you can't have a double standard. I know that's probably why the reason why Starbucks got so much backlash, because you're having a double standard here. You can't just do one without the other. That's ridiculous.
Right.
So,
And I didn't
We'll see.
hear that they were selling the shirts. I just heard that they were working with a black organization to create these shirts and these pins for the employees to have something to wear at the Starbucks while they're working.
I've heard that they're making shirts now that customers can buy. Like customers can buy these shirts and these pins.
If they're doing that, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
don't
it's-
buy them shirts.
Then you're trying to make money and
But that's
profit
what a
off
lot
of
of
it.
companies have done. They've done that now. They're like,
No,
oh yeah,
yeah,
well now you
facts.
can buy this, and we'll donate this much percentage.
But are we
to our,
surprised?
you know?
I mean, are we surprised that's why that's why they're doing this, because they understand the power of the
Facts.
black dollar.
Yeah.
We
That's
spend
true.
more money than any other group in this country, $1 trillion.
Yeah.
So we spend $1 trillion. So they
Trillion,
know
wow.
they want to capitalize on that profit. Anytime you affect the bottom line, it's going to be a problem. And that's why they're doing this. That's the only reason why they're doing it. That's the only reason why a lot of
companies do that.
NASCAR,
Yep.
a lot of these sports franchises. I mean, the only two people that I believe that I that something that I saw was Ben and Jerry's, who have
Ben
always
Jerry's.
been on the left side of, always been on the right side of what's going on and
Right.
been in tune with what's going on. And then Square Enix, the video game company,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
actually
true.
pledged $250,000 to a lot of different organizations, and they will match the donations from their workers globally towards those type of
Well,
organizations.
I also put here that Starbucks puts $1 million toward racial equality grants after George Floyd killing, and that was after the
Whoa,
killing.
whoa.
What does that mean?
Exactly. Because
What
see,
does that mean?
stop nicknaming the truth.
Okay.
Racial equality, people of color, diversity. They never say black people. They never say Latino people.
That's true.
They always nickname the truth, so you don't know where this
Where it's
stuff
coming.
is
That
going.
can be Irish, whatever else that's still
It
European.
could be women. I mean,
Yeah.
because they consider women
That's
a
so
minority
true.
now.
Look
So
at okay, I see
that
that.
doesn't make any sense. So
Don't
you
let
need,
them
you
trick
need
you.
to you need to name it. Like Destiny Child said, say my name. Say the name of the people that you wanted to
I
go
like that
to.
he used Destiny's Child.
Because don't nickname the truth. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You got all these sports franchises that come out here and say, "Oh, we want to give diversity we want to, help end systemic racism," which is bullshit, because we that's never going to end, because this country, unless this country is going to end, that's the only time it's really going to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just this is a little bit off topic, but I
No,
know
yeah,
most
yeah.
of us are NFL really quick. I want to bring this up. Like, how do you feel now that the NFL is like
Man, that's bullshit.
standing behind it, and then
Nick,
like
I got this, Nick.
Go
That is
ahead.
some bullshit. They're doing it because it all started because they're the biggest face of their league now was on a video promoting Black Lives Matter. So it made them get into a panic mode to say, damn it, we have to be a part of it, because this guy is going to be the face of our league for the next 10 years and Patrick Mahomes. So it made Roger Goodell do something that he probably really didn't want to do. You didn't hear him apologize to Cap. He apologized for I guess missing the whole point. But it's like Cap was letting you know and giving you the opportunity to jump on his wave.
now I have a question for you. Do you think they're going to bring him back to the league?
They probably are, just because now they're just going to
Nick
be
is
like,
saying no.
No, they won't. No,
Yeah.
they won't.
That's a lot of
You
ego
know-
involved
you
for you
know,
to be able
you
to say,
know,
like, let
first
me
of
again,
all-
am I
like,
wrong?
fuck, I fucked
that
up.
takes a big person.
Come back.
Yeah,
I don't
and-
think
Because I don't
something
think Cap
happens.
going to accept some BS anyway.
First of all, I don't think Roger. First of all, Roger Goodell has bosses. He has 32 bosses that he has to answer to. So I
Facts.
don't think it's necessarily Roger Goodell, because I don't
No,
think
yeah.
Roger Goodell is a lot of times. Sometimes if you look at Roger Goodell, I don't think he's in agreement with what the owners want, but he has to, because that's what his job is.
No, yeah,
And
agreed.
I've been able to be around Goodell a couple of times and just asking him questions or what have you. And he seems like a really cool dude. I'm not defending him by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think he is as bad as people try to make him out to be sometimes.
No, yeah.
But because of the position that he happens to be in and where the NFL is centered and how that structure has been done for the last umpteen years, you're going to take the brunt of everything. The owners
Yeah.
ain't going to take it. That's why you in the seat that you in.
Yeah.
But I do think that if you can't apologize to an individual or even make reference to an individual, that is a problem. And I don't think
Big
anything
problem.
is going to
I don't think it's gonna
anything's
happen.
going to happen. They're going to make a mockery of the kneeling. They're going to make a mockery just like they did the last time of the
Facts.
kneeling.
Yep.
And nothing's really going to change. If you really want to change, first of all, have some more opportunities for black
Coaches,
Exactly.
GMs.
and have some more GM opportunities
That's
and
true.
position coaches, assistant coaches, coordinators, things of that nature. And let's get some black ownership, even if it's 10, 15%. That's a start. But
Yeah.
you're not going to do that because you're not going to get inside the good old boys club.
That's
because
Facts.
majority of these NFL owners have contributed financially to 45's campaign, which is why we're in the mess that we're in right now.
Yeah. I know you can keep talking about sports, Nick.
He preaching
Ah.
facts right now.
I
He's
know.
not- yeah.
No, I know. But we have to go into tonight's topic, which is the discussion. Of course, we got to start off with white privilege. So let's just go ahead and jump into it, because I see that you guys all still have a lot of things to say. A lot on your mind. So I want to start off with Madi over here. here. Mari, okay? What you doing over here?
I'm hand sanitizing.
Ladies first. We saw ladies first.
Hand sanitizer. Okay, I
it's
appreciate it.
eucalyptus. You guys want some?
Just know we're still we're following some protocols, social distancing, using all of it. We wiped down, by the
Can I
way,
get some
too.
of that, what's that, wine?
Which one? The pink one?
Yeah,
That
I
is
guess I'll do the
not
pink one.
Rose.
Champagne?
Some rose.
My fault.
Stacey, can you hand that to him? Thank you.
It's warm, so just watch out. It hits. Something about like warm, alcohol.
Oh, God. You be like...
All right, so white privilege, I hope most of you guys know what it is. In case you don't, white privilege or white skin privilege or white passing, I should say.
Or white presenting.
Or white presenting, whatever you want to call it.
White privilege.
And I have to say all those. I know when I post on social media, I say white because the people will just see white. And I'm like, no, I also said white passing, white presenting, all of that. It falls under that. Refers to, social privilege that benefits white people or white passing or white presenting over non-white people in some societies, particularly if they are otherwise under the same social, political, or economical circumstances. So, yes, Michael, I thought you raised your hand.
Oh, no. I'm good.
So how many of you have family or friends or colleagues that don't think white privilege is a real thing?
I've definitely heard it. I think I've heard that narrative. I think I've heard people like downplay it. I've had colleagues. I have family members who think it's not a real phenomenon, that it's not something that is detrimental, that it's just something that's been made up in the last couple of years.
And just so that you know, you're Latina, you're Mexican.
Yes, so I'm 100% Mexican. Both my parents are from Mexico. My dad immigrated when he was in high school. My mom immigrated after they were married. So I am like 1.5, generation 1.5. But I was the first one born here, so I guess technically first generation American. But I am very much white passing / white presenting. I don't have melanin. I burn in the sun like a motherfucker. Like I need it all. But I have that privilege, and I mean, we're going to get into it later on, but I think that that's important, that I've acknowledged that there are a lot of times where I'm like, damn, my counterparts, my own family members that have more melanin are not treated in the same way that I am when we are in the same group. Like together, we'll be out at the movie theaters, at the bar, at the club, wherever, and I know it. So I think that that's just so real to acknowledge, and the more that we talk about it, discuss it, and acknowledge it, the more that we can dismantle it and make sure that people of all races and ethnicities are just treated equally and fairly and equitably. But until we acknowledge it as a society and see that how pervasive the phenomenon is, that we're never really going to see like an equitable change in the way that things are. So you talk about like how we can't really dismantle, or white supremacy is forever. I don't think it's forever. I think it's going to take the hard work of a lot of people, and specifically people that are white passing or white, because if we don't say nothing, nothing's going to change.
What about you, Stacey? Hold on. I want to give Stacey some work because Stacey's been pretty quiet, and she is my white guest at the moment. I can say Caucasian.
You call me white.
Okay, I was white. I want to be, I want to respect whatever you see yourself. Where's your family from?
My family's from Kansas.
Well,
born and raised.
Okay, but before Kansas, like, are you like Scottish, Irish?
So when I was a kid, we had to go home and ask our parents, like, what
Pull the mic closer to you. Sorry.
So when I was a kid, I had to go home and ask my parents, like, what am I? To go back to school and report back, and my mom said, just tell them you're a Heinz 57. And I didn't know what that meant, so I went back to school the next day. I was like, I'm a Heinz 57. And they were like what?
Is that?
A Heinz 57 means like you're a mix of all. You're not a thing.
You're
not
European.
a lot Irish. You're not. So we're all over the map. I even have a little like American Indian inside of me, but you won't see that in my skin. And we don't actually know, because my dad's side of the family is an extremely poor farming family, and we don't actually have a lot of information about where they're from. But I think most people look at me and think European descent.
Yeah,
they think you're a white girl.
Yes.
And
white.
Do you believe in white privilege?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you name some of the times that you've benefited from it? Just one. I know there's like tons.
I was just gonna say that every day. Every day I benefit from white privilege. I benefit from white privilege every time I'm in a job interview. I benefit from white privilege when I walk into a store for a lot of reasons. Like, I benefit from it because the security guards don't look at me like I'm going to steal something. But I also benefit from it because all the products that are in the store are geared towards people in my race. So it's easy for me to live in a world like that. So I think, that's white privilege. It's also white privilege when I was watching these kids out of Black Lives Matter's rallies sitting, waiting to be arrested. And I started looking across the crowd. This was on the news, and they were interviewing them. And I'm thinking, like, there's only white people out there. And there's only white people out there because no one who's not white is not terrified of going to jail.
To the police, yeah.
And these kids are like, oh, we're just going to go to jail. We'll be out in 24 hours. We're good. You know, that's what they're thinking. But if that's white privilege right there, like not having the fear of going to jail or whether you get out is white privilege. So, like, I recognize we live in that 24/7. So, yeah, I feel like I see it every time I walk out the door.
I was on Twitter and I want to read some tweets really quick that I found. White privilege is fake news. Everyone has the same opportunities in America. White privilege is an excuse for blacks to stop trying. White privilege is the N word against whites. And that's from, I can't even, STZBNK.
Is he white?
Most likely.
Yeah. Okay.
I think his name was like Daniel Jackson, I think. The next one is from She Migal. I feel like people who are offended by white privilege only see the word privilege and get all bent out of shape because they want to be known that they too have struggled. For fuck's sake, can people not talk about themselves for 1 minute? Somebody by FFSYTHO says it's difficult to admit white privilege is real when you've amounted to very little despite it. Somebody else said, Ashley 6077, are people fucking dumb? White privilege doesn't mean that your life isn't hard and that you don't work hard. It just means that your skin color isn't one of the reasons your life is hard. And just to kind of fast forward, there is no white privilege but abuse of power by some people in power. There is no systematic racism but a fake victimization strategy by people of color to accuse us. There is no racism but to debase white people. There is no diversity but to reduce white people. So when you read stuff like that, when you hear things like that, when people like genuinely think like that, do you think it comes from hatred or ignorance?
Ignorant.
I think it comes from both.
Both.
I think it comes from both because when you, first of all, to ignore white privilege, like she said earlier, if you don't talk about it and you don't bring it to the light and keep sweeping it under the rug and letting it be the elephant in the room, nothing's going to ever get accomplished. And what I meant earlier was this is a system that is structured. This country was structured and built on racism, built on oppression, built on bigotry. And so in order for you to get rid of it, that's why I tell people all the time, I said, look, I think we can improve things. But as far as seeing change, I don't think we'll see it in our lifetime because it's so much that has gone on for the last 400 years.
Yeah.
You kept a whole race of people down for 400 years, not because they did anything to you, not because they attacked you, it's because they simply don't look like you.
Right.
And until you start changing certain situations with inside the Constitution, things that govern this land, I mean, hell, black people are still considered 3/5 of a man. That's never changed. Mm-hmm. We are in 2020. And we came on these shores, 11% of the Africans that came on these shores, 11% of them came in 1619. The other 88% went to Central and South America. So the ones that came here, we are still considered 3/5 of a man after 400 years of systemic oppression, racism, and institutionalized racism.
500 now, ain't it?
No, it's 400.
Oh, still 400.
Still 400.
It's over 400.
I think the big
Feel
thing.
like
I think the
500.
big thing too is this idea that like, if you have white privilege, you are less than, or that it's like an insult. And it's like, I think that that's not what this is about. The conversation around white privilege isn't about demeaning somebody, taking something from their identity, making them feel bad, no, it's about like, hey, let's acknowledge that our society continues to give opportunities, continues to like elevate and celebrate, and just the idea that doors open for you when your skin is not as melanated is very real. And the idea that, you know, there's all these statistics on that if you have a quote unquote black name or an ethnic name on a resume and you submit that, even though they haven't seen you, they are less likely to call you.
Right.
And it's not to say that like you have like, people get this all mixed up, and there's a lot of ego involved, I think, in this discussion, because I know that from a lot of people, you know, of color, I know for myself as a Latina, even though my parents are maybe not as dark as other Latinos, like they don't like that narrative, because they're like, well, we have worked hard, so what are you saying, that like because we're lighter skinned, like we didn't earn what we worked for? I'm like, no, but let's acknowledge that there was probably counterparts to us who were darker skinned, who might have been better equipped for this job position, that didn't get the opportunity.
Hey, listen, so
That's all.
I have a story, right? So I remember being in college. I shouldn't have done what I'm going to say, but I did it. But me and one of my white classmates decided to cheat on an assignment because it was, you know, it was really tough, and we did it. He got his grade and it was like a B, and then I was questioned for cheating. It was like we did it together. You know what I'm saying? And that's white privilege right there, because it just, you look at the black guy and say that you are the one that's wrong. What did you do? Where I'm like, you know, like me and this guy were at it together, but because I'm black, I'm the one that has to deal with the dean and all these things where it's like,
and that's where the idea of privilege comes into play, this word that's used, because it's like we assign this idea of like, oh, okay, like if you did something wrong but you're of lighter skin, like we're going to talk to you, we're going to try to figure this out. That doesn't seem right. There's this consciousness in society that like we should treat you fairly. Like there's equity there. We should treat you fairly and investigate certain things.
I mean,
but when you're a person of color, it's like evil.
Yeah,
you did wrong.
And
you wrong.
it's
you wrong,
automatically
wrong.
guilty by association,
There you go.
and that's if you don't acknowledge that you got white privilege, you racist as a motherfucker.
yeah.
Okay,
Because-
so I was going to tell you really quick. What if you have friends who are white or white passing, and they're just like, white privilege doesn't exist? Like I struggle too. I was, in the hood, right there
So
with you.
You don't struggle.
even
You
your
don't struggle with
counterpart.
shit.
You
I would
Because
say-
let me tell you something.
Yeah.
If you behind, if the police get behind you, do you get nervous? Even if all your stuff is right, do you get nervous when the cops get behind you? I
Facts.
guarantee you don't.
Yep.
But I do, because they look at me as a threat. They don't look at me as a human being. They don't look at me as a man. They don't look at me as, okay, this person doesn't look suspicious, so let me just drive on and just continue my patrolling. No, they get behind me, they run my plates, they'll follow me for 3 or 4 blocks, and then they'll finally turn off if they decide not to mess with me that particular day.
They don't even have to deal with the discussion from parents.
So I don't want to hear
how
that
to
shit
deal
about
with
if you don't
police
have
and
white
things
privilege.
like
You
that.
got white privilege.
Yeah.
Don't you are a waste of white privilege
Yeah.
for the fact that you're not even acknowledging it.
Accept it. Yeah.
And if you want to end or try to put an end to racism, I tell white people 2 things. 1, acknowledge you have white privilege, and
Yep.
2, make sure that you yell to the mountaintops that racism is wrong and why it's wrong. If you
Facts.
don't do that, then you're a contributor. You're part of the problem and not the solution.
Have you ever met anybody who is also black
Yeah,
that says
that happens a lot.
that white privilege isn't real?
Yeah, I met some sambos.
What do you call them?
Facts,
I met some
Sambo.
sambos.
Sandballs?
Yeah, sambos.
Sambo.
Sambo
But-
was a
And
character.
why do you think that they believe that? If they're black and they're
Because
supposed
they're
to be
ignorant.
I think some people is just like you said, they're ignorant and they honestly think that, man, you just have to put your bootstraps on and go to work. That's what they did, but it's like,
What if we don't have bootstraps?
Yeah,
What if
they-
we
We
don't
ain't
have
got the
boots?
boots.
yeah, we got the boots.
We ain't got boots
You know
or
what
the
I'm saying?
straps.
So
Yeah.
it's like they don't. Some of them try to find a way to not see the disadvantage, but I think deep down inside
Candace
they
Owens.
know. Facts, Candace Owens for sure. So it's
Terry
just like
Crews.
when you apply for different jobs and you go there and it's like you walk in. A lot of times if I go to jobs and I see I'm the only black person there, I'm leaving with like, it's probably a 10% chance I'm gonna get this job because they're going to choose the people that look like them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's just the way that the world is. It sucks that we have to deal with it, but it's something that black people have to teach their kids, that we have to go over and beyond because they're not helping us. You know what I'm saying? And the white privileges, they have that advantage. I talk to my co-host Alex all the time about it, and low key, I had to game him up on it too. Like, bro, you have to accept that you do have this. If we both show up at an event of all white people, they're only messing with you. They're gonna look at me like, what is he doing here? What does he do for you to be here? And that's how it is. You know what I'm saying? So
So I have just really quick to in the chat box. It's been going crazy. I can't even read everything that's in there, but there's somebody that just popped up. He named himself the Patriot, and he says white privilege is not real, and with that mindset, you'll
God.
never succeed.
You're a MAGA.
yeah, clearly.
And let's say he is. Let's say he is.
My
Like,
thing with that is like, and I responded and I was just like, cordial, which is the other thing is like we as people that are just trying to like be mindful and be more all-knowing and be compassionate to all types of people, we have to have this civility about us in order to communicate with people that don't give a shit about their privilege and don't give a shit about how their privilege is dangerous to everyone around them.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that makes it really hard to have these really like calm, like adult discussions, very mature, because people are unwilling to just acknowledge and remove their ego. That's the thing, is like, okay, boo-boo, you're white, I get it, but like relax. We're not saying that you don't deserve what you've worked for or whatever, but like let's pretend that you were a much darker skinned person. Would you be where you are? And if you are blindly just saying like I would be, you are incorrect, sir, and you need to go Google because I know you have your phone, you're on this chat box, you need to Google, and don't come into spaces yelling things like, oh, white privilege doesn't exist, when you yourself can't back that up with any sort of data
And
except
you
for your
benefited
feelings.
from it.
Yeah.
And you benefited from
You
white
know?
privilege. You got into certain schools. You met certain quotas
Yep.
because of white privilege.
It's mediocrity.
And,
Yeah.
and people that talk about affirmative action, but it wouldn't be a use for affirmative action back in the day if it was a level playing field.
Everybody
It's
was
not.
treated fair.
Stacey, I know you've been kind of quiet there, and I know you're listening to everybody, but I definitely want to hear from you. I know that I'm
Hey,
sure you have
Stacey,
family and friends.
Don't be scared of us. We just
No, they're just
we're
it's
just
passionate,
giving
and I
our-
get it.
giving our hearts.
These are radio personalities. I got to stop them sometimes to remind them it's ladies' night. So let's hear from you.
I'm from the Midwest. I'm like really not good at interrupting people, honestly.
Well, I'll interrupt them for you. How about
So-
that?
No,
Excuse me, y'all.
I mean, I think there's a lot going on here. I think, first of all, anyone who's not recognizing white privilege, whether they're white or black, I think part of that is an unconscious reluctance to take responsibility for the fact that they acknowledge it, because it's hard. Like, what do we do about it is hard. It's not an easy answer. Like, the whole concept of reparations, you can be for it, but then when you start to think about how do you actually implement that in policy, and you get back to this question of, well, is it about this percentage of my blood is ethnic, or you look white, or you don't look, and so people don't want to deal with that. Like, people don't want to deal with the hard issue of what it actually means to take responsibility for it. I think the second piece of it is that there are two kinds of racists, in my opinion, in this country. One is covert racism, where you know you're racist, and then there's people who are implicitly racist without meaning to. And I'll give you a good example. So, like, the first time I came home with a serious boyfriend who wasn't white, my family is my family on my mom's side are one of the most like openly accepting, diversity friendly, out there picketing, protesting, all that stuff, right? And my aunt pulled me aside one day and said, out of nowhere, it's going to be a lot harder for you if it's just like, it's going to be harder for you to be with somebody who's not white for the rest of your life. And I was like
And she's
what?
not lying.
She's not, but she didn't understand the gravity of what she was saying to me. Like, what I interpreted that to mean was, Stacey, take the easy road. Like,
I feel
don't put yourself in
Go
this
white.
situation.
She pretty much saying go
But
white.
that even
She was.
like solidifies, that even just exemplifies white privilege there.
Yeah,
because she's
exactly.
saying like, hey,
If
you'll
you
be
go
okay
white-
if you go white.
But she
Yeah.
recognized that the white privilege is there.
But they
That's
don't
what I'm
call it. But they don't see that
But
as
That's
white
what I'm trying to
privilege.
say.
No,
Is like,
it's-
she's not thinking
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
about that as racist. She's
Right.
she's just seeing that as like a
Yeah.
a fact. Like,
No, yeah.
No,
it'll be
you're right.
easier. And I'm like, how do I even address? Like, how do
Yeah.
I start to address that issue
Yeah.
with her without going all the way
But
back to like?
some people are so blind to
That's
it
what I'm trying to point
that,
out.
that
But
they
that's
don't.
willful ignorance.
But it's
No,
also
yeah.
a different time. How old is she?
She's 60 probably.
And
Yeah.
you guys are from Middle
And
America.
the way we grew up is
Yeah.
a lot different from how she grew up.
It's just-
And she
Yeah.
grew up in Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kansas.
it's
And we
just
grew up
like
in
when she
LA.
Yeah, it's just like when she talked about reparations and how people are all up in arms about reparations, and how even when Joe Biden talked about reparations, he was going to add the Native American, and I'm saying, wait a minute,
Yeah,
every
wait a
group,
minute.
every group in this country has received some form
Jewish.
of reparations, except for black people
Yep.
who have built this country. And so when you want to loop in the Native Americans, so excuse me, the Native Americans were allowed to be a sovereign nation, which means they're free to make money and tax-free money
Fact.
to build on their land. And also, by the way, historically, Native Americans do owe black folks some money because they did enslave some African slaves along the way. Let's be clear about
Seminole
that.
Indians.
So let's understand it. Why is it so hard for black people to get reparations and get what we want, especially when we've had it the hardest? I don't give a damn what nobody has to say, because yes, I'm not saying that nobody else has had it hard, but when you think about being dragged away, stripped of your culture, being kidnapped in the African Holocaust,
Taken from your family.
that has killed over 135 million Africans alone in the slave trade, which we consider the African Holocaust.
Yep.
Don't tell me anything else about how everybody else has received some form of reparations, but we can't get ours for all the suffering that we've gone through and continue to go through. Man, stop.
And I just don't understand it. Just the fact that it's so much fake love. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
they love our culture. They love our athletes. They want to eat our foods. They want to kind of do the things that we do. But when it comes to the people, it's like they have no care. You know what I'm saying? And,
And
it's
I
it's
think-
very depressing when you think about it as a black person, to think that I'm accepted for certain things that I have, but when it comes to just being me and you trying to put yourself in my shoes, that you kind of just turn a blind eye to it. So black people being killed by the police is like it's nothing to to white people. You know what I'm saying? And
So-
they try to bring up flaws instead of really looking at the big picture.
But I think that's because
Go for it, sis.
if what it would take for like reparations to be real in this country, or for white people to actually do something meaningful to change our country, would require white people becoming A, uncomfortable, and B, giving up power.
Yeah.
And I mean real power. I'm not talking about diversify your company by making sure you have, racial diversity. It's about, like you were talking about, appointing people in power who can make money, who can then perpetuate power amongst non-white people.
Facts.
Until we do that, it doesn't matter. And you want to talk about, like, on an individual level, are people that are non-white people at a disadvantage in this country? Yeah, but look at the way this country was formed, A.
Build, yep.
2, the way we tell the history of this country. Like, we came over and raped and pillaged an entire non-white culture in America, and we talk about America like it's ours.
Hey, think about
And
this.
we teach our kids that. We teach our kids that, like, oh, it was great at Thanksgiving when we all sat down and had dinner together.
Think about the fact that Christopher Columbus has a holiday, but Juneteenth is not a holiday.
Yep, exactly.
So it's just something as simple as that, to see that this guy who stumbled upon America, he was looking for India and stumbled upon here, and they, like you said, they came and raped, pillaged, and killed.
He said he discovered something that was already here. It's like house sweat.
Right,
That don't work.
because they were
That don't work.
because there were African navigators that came
Moors
before
were
the
here
before the Native
1492.
American. There's a book called "They Came Before Columbus" by Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. He lays it out clearly about who was here and how everything came about when it came. And this wasn't even called America. This was a brand new territory that nobody had really discovered.
Yeah.
Which, like he said, you got Moors, which were the navigators and the discoverers of different lands. So
And then
I mean, tell the truth when you're gonna deal with history, man.
And if you go a step beyond that, so we came over, we took over, and then the white man developed all of the structures. All of the government structures in this country were developed by white men, period.
Right.
So the only way, so now it's perpetuated after centuries, right? Now we are where we are today under the same structures that the white man developed. So in order to change that requires people, white men in power with the money, to cede their power. To say, you know what, I'm going to step back. I'm going to help non-white people be in power. I'm going to look, the only way you get elected in this country is if you have money, period.
Facts.
It does not matter what you're running for. If you don't have money,
I forgot his
you
name.
don't run. But then there's other, like...
True.
Serena Williams. So shout out to Serena Williams' husband, who
Alexa
he has a weird name,
Reddit.
and he gave up his position to a black. He's like, I'm hiring somebody black to take over my position.
Yeah.
So we need people to do things like that. Is it going to happen? Kind of like what Nick talked about earlier. I just don't see it. That's why W.E.B. Du Bois said, man, it's not going to work out here. I'm going to Ethiopia, and it's just.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's tough. As a black person, it's tough for me to see change because I just don't
So
think...
how do you start? Like, with that being said, like, where do we start here with, like, where we're at right now?
You gotta have a plan.
Gotta have a plan.
My thing is, we got to organize and strategize in order to mobilize our plans. Whatever that band of leadership can be to make these plans and stick with them and see them through. And it's going to take time. It may not take 10 years. It may take 50 years. It may take to the next generation to continue to execute that plan.
But you see why that's tough?
Until it happens, it's not going to work. I mean, the structure is what it is. Not that you're fighting white people, because you're fighting a white power structure, which is a huge difference. You're not, because they're good and bad in every race. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
All white people ain't bad, just like all black people don't steal. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever the stereotypical nature is. So you're fighting a structure, which is why I've said earlier, people are talking about the police and all this other stuff. It's not the actual cop. It's what the cop represents. He represents the establishment.
Facts.
He represents the structure that's been put in place. Think about the term law enforcement for a moment. Enforcement, not law patrol. Enforcement. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for this terminology that people like to overlook and sweep under.
Yeah.
Think about it. Enforce. Where do you enforce it? We are the ones that are being enforced.
Yep.
They're
And it's not
patrolling other affluent communities,
Yeah.
but they're enforcing on us.
And
Yeah.
the other thing is not just that they're enforcing the law. It's more that they're expecting certain types of people to act a certain way, and they're expecting obedience from certain people. And it's just like, that's where the divide is.
That's
is
a
that
slave owner
it's okay.
mentality.
Exactly. It's okay that you're enforcing, like, hey, I have to stop you because your tags are late. Okay, stop me. Like, run everything correctly. But the fact of it is that's not how the institution has ever been run.
Facts.
And that's all we're trying to acknowledge. Like, you can't really even argue that. And that's the funniest thing to me, is that people are up in arms about, like Black Lives Matter, about police, defunding police. Like, they're up in arms about these little tiny, like, phrases. And it's like, have you even just stopped to just think about, and it's not even think about facts. Because this guy in the chat is talking about, like, I can Google things, and it's like, well, you haven't. But he's saying, like,
you can Google, but you can't comprehend.
He's Googling from both sides. It's like, I can see things from both sides of the argument. I'm like, that's the point, is that you look at both sides of the argument, you think critically, but beyond critically is you think with human dignity and decency.
That part.
Because it's like, what is the law even matter when you're no longer even a decent human being? What do you care if slavery was legal when you know slavery was wrong?
Fact.
What does, like, legality and criminality are two very different things, and that's a whole discussion on immigration and everything. So it's about, like, who are you as a human being?
And
are you somebody okay with the death of people who are unarmed? Are you okay with people existing in the world that are allowed to kill people and get away with it? Because that's what cops do. It doesn't matter the color.
Yeah, they're not charged for a lot of these things. Like,
there's no accountability, and that's the issue.
I hope y'all check out the Good News Radio page. There's a video that's on there where this cop clearly killed the man, and he was never charged for it. You know what I'm saying?
But that's forever. That's not the only one.
But think about how the police were formed. They were formed to round up slaves like fish in the net. They had to be returned to Master Johnson's farm, or they had to be sent here or sent there. The police were built from the slave owners, and that's how they came into existence. So that mentality has never changed.
Yeah.
That mentality has never gone away.
Yep.
I think we're also missing, like, a huge component of this, which is the financial gain that white America gets out of everything.
So
private prisons are run and owned predominantly by white males. So the more people are in jail, the more profitable it is. Like, we could make easy policy decisions that substantially change, like, the racist structural practices in our country, but we don't. And I also think that people are their eyes are closed these days. Like, we are so consumed with social media and reality TV and all this crap that is designed, in my opinion, by our structures to divert our attention away from things that matter. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think Trumpito and his supporters want to close down? Why does everybody think Trumpito wants to close down Planned Parenthood?
Because he hates women having rights.
He hates women having rights, but, like, the backup, what they say is, oh, well, we're against abortion, right? Abortion is bad.
Yeah.
Right.
60% of abortions in this country
White
are for white women.
Yeah.
Of course.
If you stop 60%,
the Patriot, are you listening?
if you stop 60% of Planned Parenthood abortions in this country, it's 60% more white people that exist in this country. So we have to, like, pay attention to what's actually happening and go deeper than just, like you were talking about. We can't just look at the headline and be like, oh man, I'm going to go protest for equal rights, and then I'm going to go back to my comfortable life tomorrow.
And that's what I feel about the protests. Like, I've been to a bunch of the protests that we had in LA, and I just feel it's a lot of white people out there who are just there just because they have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Like, when I was at the one in Beverly Hills where they looted a few stores, no one talked about the first two stores were a skateboard store and a surfboard store where it was all white people.
Yeah.
Where the black people there were like, what are y'all doing? We're not out here for that.
Right.
But they were just out there because they're just like, man, I want to do this. I want to be here. I want to be able to tell my kids that I was there. But when days go by, years go by, they see a black man wrongly pulled over by the police, are they going to pull over and say, hey, what's going on? And a lot of it is just the front. And, like, that's why I think we as people of color have to look at that, and we can't give up the fight. But
so, I mean, we have a lot of people in the chat box that are still going.
I hope
know
it's not the Patriot.
It is actually the Patriot. He says the majority of the cops are not bad.
Hey, give him the address.
We'll get on there.
Once again, we do have a phone number. It's 323-900-0478. Please call in. We definitely would love to hear people different perspective. And I know Nick has to go in a little bit. He's a busy man over here, but I definitely want to give him some closing remarks before we go into. Do you have a little bit more time, or do you have to leave now?
I got a few minutes.
Okay, because our next segment that we're going to be talking about are the Karens and the side effects of them. But really quick, I do want to talk about somebody in the chat box. They said, Birch, if the majority of cops are good, then why do we have the few bad cops? Question mark. The compatriot, the few bad cops need to be arrested and made an example. You don't have to go into you don't have to go into Planned Parenthood. Is that what he's talking to you about?
Excuse me, what? We don't have to go to Planned Parenthood.
This is
baby.
ladies' night. We can
Nobody
talk
wants
about
your
all of
baby.
it.
We need Planned Parenthood.
Hey,
It's called personal
that's,
responsibility.
that's another subject for
Yeah,
another
for
day.
another day. Marty,
Yeah.
we ain't got to worry about that. We
So
good.
really
Okay.
quick, let's
Good.
go into Karens really quick and the side effects. Karen is a term a person is perceived to be entitled or demanding beyond the scope of what is considered appropriate or necessary. And also, according to the Karens, the word Karen is the new N-word for them. I don't know if you guys heard of that, but you know.
Tell that to my face and watch what happens.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, let's do the switch.
I dare you.
So some tweets, of course, I have to go to Twitter, from friend Nifo. Keep up the pressure. For every one person calling elected officials about police killing Black Americans, there are at least 3 Karens calling to complain that face masks cause autism or allergies. And yes, they have a doctor's note. From at KG Away, okay, I'm getting sick of everyone referring to these ignorant, racist, self-entitled women as Karens. I'm about to ready to change my name, thinking of Inger, Dagmar, Magda, or possibly shortening to Ren. Thoughts? Yeah, if your name is Karen, I'm sorry, change it.
Yeah.
You can
Oh,
change
well.
your name, but people of color cannot change the skin color. So
Sucks to be you.
yeah, it is what it is. So what do you think about the Karens of the world?
Stop being
And
Karen.
Should we? Do you want to go around like everybody says something?
I mean, yeah, let's start off with you, Nick, because I know you got to go soon.
I just feel like we talked about earlier, it's white privilege at its finest. I think they don't like being told what to do, and they want to enforce things because they feel like they have their white privilege, which is a form of racism and supremacy. And so when you think of most of these Karens, they're white supremacists. I mean, I've seen things. The actor, I think his name is Christian Keys. He's an actor. He's been in a lot of black films or whatever. Him and his friend were like running, working out and exercising, and this woman comes up to him asking him about a mask. Like, you're the damn cops. Like, who the hell are you to be asking anybody about a mask?
Yeah.
I wish you would ask
White
me about
privilege.
a mask.
That's called white privilege.
I will tell you exactly where my mask is, and I'll show you where it is, and I'll show you where yours could be. This is the problem I have with Karens. We got to stop being so damn docile and being so damn passive. If a Karen comes up to you,
Whoop
starts
they
acting
ass.
fool, no. I'm not advocating. I'm not advocating that. That is Mike Hill. That is not the thoughts and ideas of Nick Hamilton.
If you're a lady, not a guy.
But I will say I'll give your ass a good cussing out. And a lot of times, that's why that's why I love having homegirls with me and cousins of mine. Because, see, I can't touch you,
Yep.
but my cousin or my homegirl can touch you up real nice. And that's what I like to have around me. So it's nice when you have women around you sometimes, especially in these days and times, because you got these white women that are so arrogant and so have this white supremacy attitude, like they can tell you what to do. And
But you can't tell them.
Oh, I can.
It's not even
No,
telling
like,
what
for
to
example-
do. It's like they it's just a lot of like aggressiveness. It's like at some point you're just being rude.
Yeah,
it's
you
like
get-
we're just being
You
rude.
said the
now.
key word, entitlement. They feel that they're entitled.
They
to
have a
say
sense of entitlement.
Whatever.
Exactly.
If you look at these old school like movies, like Rosewood and stuff like that, it's exactly how these white women were on these movies.
But we got to stop being so damn docile.
No,
we got to
yeah,
fight
Politeness
back.
Politeness has often stopped
Man.
progress. And I mean, Amanda Seales says that, but it's true. It's like we're often forced to be polite to people that are aggressors.
Facts.
And that stops progress.
Let
It's
me-
like,
let-
and
let
we
me-
don't have to have
but I also-
conversations.
But I also think like part of the problem with conflict coming from a non-white person to a Karen is that it reinforces their own perception of
But
like.
they not changing though.
No, but what I was going to say was that's
Yeah.
another factor of white privilege is that me as a white person has the power to change another white person's mind, but I also have the choice of whether or not I do that. So
Oh,
like one of
that's
the
a good point.
problems I think in this country is that as a white person I get to pick and choose when I want to interject myself and when I
Facts.
don't. So if
That's-
I'm like in a
that's
hurry
major.
and I see that happening with you, I can be like, you know what? I got to get to dinner.
I don't really
I'm
know
out.
them anyway.
Yeah, and
But
that-
so like we want to talk about what could change.
Yeah.
Like white people got to take responsibility
Definitely.
for if you really want to be a true like activist, you can't walk away from situations when you're uncomfortable.
What
or
if you're
when
not an activist? What if you're just a regular old guy walking down the street and you see some shit like that? You don't consider yourself an activist and you don't speak up at the same time.
Hey, Jackie,
I think being an activist means action.
so. Yes,
And it's not up to black folks or people of color to end racism or discuss about it. It's up to white people to do
Yeah.
it. White
Right.
folks have got to start to educate like she said,
And holding
educate white folks and holding
accountability.
them accountable for what they do and what they don't do, most importantly. And because we can shout, like she said earlier, we can shout to the mountaintops. I mean, you look at on TV, if a black dude says something on TV, it's like, but if the white guy says basically the same exact thing, and I've witnessed this. I witnessed it watching First Take. I watched it watching, Undisputed. Shannon will say one thing, and people be like, but Skip will say damn near the exact same thing, maybe in a slightly different way, and people are like, oh my God, Skip. I'm like, Shannon just said the same thing, but how people perceive things, they're not listening, they're looking, and that's the problem.
And I think there's two things, like in addition to that. Like, one is white people are so bad at following. Like, so we want to be a part of the movement, but we can't sit back and follow. Right? We got to be out front, and we want to be recognized for being out front. Hey. So one of the things we need to do is take a step backwards, use our money to support the leadership of black movement. And two, we have to accept black culture. Facts. And here's the problem, right?
It's already accepted, just the people aren't accepted.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, it's the same thing. So in white America, we get to pick and choose what we're comfortable with. Like, look at the new Bachelor. He's black, right? But he is the most comfortable form of a black man for white people.
Like white features.
Facts.
Right.
The way he dresses, the way he talks, so
he's easy.
We
it's
have
like
to
the president.
make...
It's like Obama. When he was
it's easy. I mean...
Like, what I always feel was that there would never be a true black president that's...
But black people are not a monolith, and we should acknowledge that. There is not
Agreed.
one type of black.
Black
people are not a monolith.
No, it's not. But it would never be, to me, a true black president, a dark-skinned man with a name that you will see and you would be like, hell no, because that's just how the country is built. Like, Barack Obama was cool enough because it was like, it's Barack Obama. But
that's a black name.
If his name was Mark Quentin... Darius Smith, they'd be like, that alone, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but to your point, like, if we don't stop waiting to be comfortable in that job interview, even if we're accepting of the color of your skin, if you're not speaking like I'm used to speaking, if you're not using words that I'm comfortable with, then I can interpret that as you're not qualified. Instead of understanding that there's a different culture. And that, like, what my judgment of qualified as a white culture means does not necessarily equate to lack of intelligence, lack of ability. Like, that is the problem. True. We live in white culture, and we don't want to give it up. We're like, okay, you come over, you speak well. Yeah. You're good. Come over.
Or when white people say, you speak so eloquently. My goodness. It's like, really? What did you expect for me to sound like? You thought I was going to sound like somebody else in a rap video? Like, no disrespect.
Like,
but we say that to each other, I think, even between our cultures. We're like, you sound white.
And that's a slave mentality. That's a Eurocentric slave mentality, because we have been conditioned to say, hey, if someone does speak well, this is the standard. Why does that have to be the standard? Why can't we just accept, like she said earlier, accept each other for who we are, what we bring to the table, and then try to understand and have dialogue to be able to understand one another. Even if we agree to disagree, we can still understand, and we can still come together and try to solve issues that need to be solved, instead of just leaving them in the middle of the room and just say, oh, what the hell with it? It ain't solved today. Oh, well, forget it. That's why we're here 400 years later.
And I feel like that speaks a lot to, like, the topic we're going to get to about cancel culture, too, is, like, it's to a certain degree. It's like we can't no longer say, like, well, I'm going to wash my hands of you because we can't change you, and we're going to keep it pushing. It's like, no, we are all in this together. We are all on the same planet. Yeah. How are we all going to continue to elevate each other? Because it's not no more like, let's ignore that this is happening.
And I think we have to, like, recognize the power we each have. Yep. So the reason the civil rights movement was successful was not for, like, one reason. There was all kinds of backdoor stuff going on behind the scenes with money, with white power influencing other white people to join into a certain ideal or movement. And without that sense of, like, collectiveness and white people stepping back, supporting, not up front, like behind the scenes, with money, with, supporters, with, hey, I know this person's got a lot of money, a lot of influence, we got to get him on board to this idea. That's how I think change happens. But we don't think about, like, white America is so bad at taking the back seat and jumping on a different bandwagon. Until we jump on a different bandwagon in a real significant way like that, we're gonna be stuck in the same.
I saw a meme that said God, it seems like white people think that like God died and left them in charge.
Facts.
Yeah, and that's what you were talking about how like if something's happening, like white people or anyone, even white passing people, because it's happened, they'll go up to you and try to regulate you, and it's like, first of all, boo, who are you?
Yeah, who are you?
And they'll be like, I live here in this neighborhood, and I'm like, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to put a Southern accent, but that's just I can't do accent.
That's
but
how
I'm
they all
just like,
sound.
okay, but then go live in your house though. But like, go to your house though.
Well, that's, you know what?
But for some reason, certain white people, I would say 95% of them feel that they have that power to where they should be in control of the situations. Like you were saying, you were right. When I was at the protest, you would see so many white people trying to lead the charge, and we're looking like, what the hell are you talking about?
Even know the
like,
history.
this is not like, this is us. Like, we're doing this here, but you're trying to be in front to kind of like lead, where it's like, no, this is us, and it's crazy, man.
So I know, Nick, I know you got to go. Go ahead and leave your closing remarks before
All
you
I'm
go.
gonna say is, I think this was a very healthy discussion. I'm glad that thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna cancel 2 people: Candace Owens and Terry Crews.
Are you allowing? Before
Candace,
you go, are you allowing Kanye back in?
Hell no.
Hell no. Thank you.
Let that Sambo in here.
Maybe.
And this man right here.
I got to tell you why, Nick. We're talking about
no. You keep on talking like that. I'm gonna call the Drop Squad. You keep on talking. I'm gonna make a phone
Nick,
call.
thank you
to
so
the
much.
Drop
Where can
Squad.
people find you on Instagram? Or?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys are great. You can find me on all things social media at Nick Hamilton LA. Thank you so much. Let's get it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
should put
Tune
the
in
little
tomorrow,
clapping hands.
10 in the morning.
Good News Radio, sports.
10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m.
after.
Eastern.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Busy Man, he's got to go. He's
So
super
the
busy.
Patriot, now you
Thank
know,
you, Nick.
10 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit me up, please.
Hey,
I
no,
wish you would.
pull up. We want him to pull up.
I wish.
Michael.
I wish a mother would. Nah, I love y'all, man. Peace
Love you
out.
too, Nick. Thank you so much.
Peace out, bro.
Have a good show tomorrow. So yeah, I know there's just people in the back right here in the audience. We have a full house in here. If you guys anybody wants to take the seat,
And
feel
I know
free.
they have thoughts. They've
I
been
know.
listening to us over here.
We got a good group of people. Bye, Nick. Have a good one. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and keep going. Let's go into the cancel culture real quick. You said you're gonna allow Kanye to back in. Why is that, Michael?
It's just
Can someone tell
Hey,
me
turn
my
me
old
up.
ass what the cancel culture is, please?
Go ahead, Michael.
so the cancel culture is pretty much when you say something crazy, you do something crazy. Social media, people just like, hey, this person. So for example, if Jackie were to do something that black people just didn't like, all black people come together and say, do not listen to her show, do not support anything that she have, so that she will
Don't do that.
She will lose money and lose her name. No, please don't do that, because Jackie is a real one to the core. So
Appreciate you.
but
I love, bro.
that's the example of it. The reason why I say Kanye, because I like to gather information, and I got some information from.
You heard that he wore the hat so that President Trump can allow people out of jail.
Yeah, and
I read that too.
And sometimes, and it was one of like his Consequence, one of the rappers that that black folks are down with, that was saying that sometimes you have to pimp a butterfly. That's what Kendrick was talking about. You have to pimp your situation. So I need to hear more from Kanye to fully like say you're back. But if he pimped that situation to do that, then it's like, wearing a hat. Like Consequence said that Kanye gave him all the hats and said, bro, do whatever you want with them. Burn them. You know what I'm saying? So if he did that, sometimes as a black person, you have to pimp your way into it. Like J. Cole said, he didn't fake it to make it. He made it, then faked it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I'm not about to. No, he faked it first. And then once he got there, it was like, now y'all get the real me. So y'all have to deal with that. And I'm already here, so you can't tell me no. And sometimes it sucks that black people have to do that. You have to fake the funk to get where you want to be. Then when you get there, I'm already here. You can't move me from here.
And people wanted to cancel Jay-Z because of joining the NFL organization, but then again, people were saying like we need more people of color in those type of seats.
Yeah,
so
I was about to say, could we talk about here's my issue.
It's
Cancel
Hov,
anyone who has had blatantly racist public statements,
facts.
period. So we give all these people passes. Oh, I changed somebody. So let's just cancel them all, right? Because that's the only way, in my opinion. Social media has all of the, in my opinion, social media has a lot of
power.
negative influence in our culture.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to have positive influence in our culture. If we want to see a real
Exactly.
change, stop forgiving people for saying blatantly racist stuff.
What
Like,
about your own friends and family? Like, I know I have people on my Facebook be saying some crazy ass shit, and I'm like, dang. Like, I know, like in general, they're a good person, but I'm like, damn, this is how they think, and I'm like,
I'll just remove them. I don't have time for none of that. Like, if you're not down with the cause and you fake the funk in my face, it's like, what am I?
yeah,
Like, you don't. I like to tell people you don't have to be fake. Just be you. If you don't like
So I
me
ca-
for who I am, damn it, hey, that's what it is. It just lets me know to stay away from you.
So it's interesting because I take the opposite view, which is I have a lot of family with extremely different views than me. I don't cancel them because I think I have to stay aware of the dialogue that's happening that I feel a responsibility to change.
Yeah.
So maybe that's being white. I feel
Yeah,
like a
family
deep
is-
responsibility.
Family may be different.
But friends too. No, I got the friends too who.
I don't. To be honest, I don't have any white friends, other than maybe Alex. So
But here's the thing I'll say. Is like
the fact you
but
can
here-
name one person.
But here's the thing I'll say is that I post a lot and I do it intentionally because I feel like my platform, the platform I have, has the
Yeah.
ability to put in front of people
Yeah.
that you probably don't have the platform to put in front
no,
of.
yeah, fact. And
So
the type of people that need to see
That
it.
need
you know?
to see it. So
Mhm.
I keep those people and then I just bombard them with, they might not disagree with me, but they have to see it every day.
I'm the same like you. I'll keep them on my Facebook, and I'll just keep posting the shit that I believe in. And they're gonna keep going in my comments, and I'm just like, come, let's go.
But
But
I also
I'm gonna keep
wanna-
posting my shit.
I also
Yeah.
think it's healthy to understand the other side because I think
True.
if we keep drawing divisions between like
Yeah.
black, white, left, right, we don't have a chance to really understand where the other side is coming from, which means we're never going to come to any way
That is
of
true,
understanding
Stace.
one another.
So we have Anna that just jumped on the mic. She wants to say something. What's up, Anna?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm very passionate about this part. Like the cancel piece, I feel like we should cancel to some extent, but I think if we're really rooted in our indigenous values, black indigenous, brown indigenous, it was about love and teaching others, right?
course.
So you can cancel, but say, we expect you to say some change.
Yeah.
So, but not fake change, like, oh, now we're going to put Black Lives Matter, now we're going to sell this, now we're going to do that. But the algorithms on social media only allow you to see what you want to see. So therefore, how are we going to learn from each other if white, like the right only sees the right and the left only sees
No,
the left?
True.
You
That's
have
real.
to be able to look at both sides to be like, okay, I want to know more about your argument, and you need to have a discussion. And my dad raised me on that. Like, I felt my dad raised me on, our dad raised me on like being able to have a discussion without getting angry to really understand the other side. So I think if we're really going to change our society, Martin Luther King said, Gandhi said, like Cesar Chavez said, you really have to be compassionate and have empathy. Jesus said, God said, like, have empathy for the other person and love your neighbor, whatever it is.
Take your hand off my sister,
my
Michael.
fault.
Ladies' night.
Jackie got really protective
off
right
my
now.
sister.
Damn.
Just for everybody, Michael put
yeah.
his hand on my leg, and Jackie immediately reacted.
And I think it's because I'm black that she does. No, I'm just playing.
Stop
but, No, I just, man, I just, sorry, Marty, but
See?
I just thought, I just wanted
First
to
of
let her
all,
know
ladies'
that I
night.
wanted to talk, but I just think that some people will truly never get it. You know what I'm saying? And like, there's some people that are going to be left behind because they don't understand and they don't want to. That they're so stuck in their ways that you can't even. No matter what you throw it into their face, they're still stuck in their ways. So they're not going to change anything. So what you have to do is distance yourself from that person. Like whether if it's me and it's a black person that's just stuck in their ways, that maybe saying, you know, white people are divine, you know, we have to catch the wave of them. It's like, what? You know, and you just have to realize, like, I have to leave you alone. You know, if I have Hispanic friends who can't see the big picture, I just have to leave that alone because
Yeah.
I'm wasting my time giving them information and telling them stuff that they're never going to agree with.
You can tell the people the information, but you can't have them understand it
Hey,
too.
you can push a horse to the water, but you can't force them to drink it.
That's
you know
true.
what I'm saying? So,
What's up, Cyrus?
I'm more intrigued about the fact that you ain't got no white friends.
No.
Why is that?
we can be friends.
I mean, you really ain't got no white friends?
No.
For real.
I have one friend
He has
that's one of my
acquaintances.
that's my co. So it's people that I meet that I'm cool with,
Yeah.
but to be honest,
And actual friends?
yeah, actual friends, like my trust factor to white people to that extent has always been different. So
That's
it's-
understanding, though. You
Yeah.
have to understand that.
It's kind of like I'm like, man, I can't relate to. Like what I always say, even when it comes to dating white women, that Jackie can tell you that I like other races, but like I can't see myself dating, like marrying a white woman, because I'm like, she would never fully understand everything that I'm going through, and it's like she will damn near have to denounce where she comes from and how she was raised for her to fully be in, and like into everything that I'm going with,
Sorry, I'm still stuck on the cancel culture topic real quick. But I hear you, and
Yeah.
I feel you, and I feel like that's valid. I think there's a lot of
You
conversations.
better understand.
First of all,
I don't know what's going on
our
here.
kids are gonna know. Our kids are gonna know.
Yeah.
I think to Stacey's point, I think there's a lot to be said, and to Anna's point too, to be said about how, if we cancel people, like, how are we really improving and bettering our society? How are we as people? How am I inviting a circle of people around me, a support system that is really for the betterment of all people? If all I'm doing is canceling them,
I mean, I'll put you on a long ass timeout.
yes, and that's important.
But I'll come
It's
back
like,
to you once you
true.
learn.
I don't have, and that's the other part of the conversation is like, I don't have to accept your bigotry. I don't have to accept your negativity, accept you not respecting my humanity
Yeah.
in order for me to love you. I can love you from afar and say, you need to go and get it together before we can share energy. But I think that that's important in
Marty.
society, is like not just always pushing people away. I'm not saying Kanye is not canceled, but I'm just saying, like,
Do you think they're ever truly canceled? So when you think about, say, somebody like 6ix9ine, who's terrible.
Oh, God.
But
No.
6ix9ine,
He's
people
canceled.
are, he's canceled, but he comes back and he's getting
that
millions.
doesn't mean that he's not canceled. What that means is that there's people out there who don't themselves are not enlightened enough
No,
and
yeah,
are
I
giving
know.
him money. That's very different from
No,
him
yeah,
not
yeah,
being
yeah.
canceled. He is very much a figure that is canceled.
So
He
when we
should not
talk
be.
canceled, are we talking black canceled?
That's the other
Yeah.
thing too, is like there's a lot of different forms of being canceled. You can cancel people in your very lives and say that what you said to me was not acceptable, what you did was not acceptable.
I think we need to be careful with the cancel, because
Yes.
we're throwing it around and then it's going to be meaningless.
Yeah.
And what
True.
you said right now is so key, because we're saying you're canceled, but we're not really rallying and organizing and creating intention behind it. Like to say, hey, y'all, we're going to do a movement so that 6ix9ine has no business. He feels threatened, and he's like, he comes out with a statement that's like, I'm sorry, and then he
Yeah.
starts creating something better. And I'm all about you protecting your energy. If you don't not have the energy to engage in a conversation, by all means, do not engage. It is not your job as a black person to teach other people what they need to learn on their own. There's a lot
No,
of books,
facts, yeah.
right? But
2020.
I do believe in empathy and growth. There was a moment where each one of us was awakened and realized that this history we've been taught, or the internalized racism or the bias that we each have, was just like it opened in our eyes, right? So just like somebody had the patience with you to like sit down with you or tell you, or maybe you were born that way. I'm not sure. You were probably born that way, right?
Yeah.
Which is very rare in our society, because we all have
Malcolm,
internalized.
Megger, or Martin.
Actually, let me tell you an interesting story about that moment for me. So I think one thing we have to talk about too after this is we also have to challenge our own assumptions, right?
Yeah,
So I always assume that my dad's side of the family, who's super poor, country, overall wearing I got 13 aunts and uncles, were going to be the racist ones in my family. And so I was always nervous when I came home with a boyfriend who wasn't white. And I was, and my other side of my family is highly,
was the boyfriend black?
yes.
Okay.
That's big.
Man, you better
Well-
say he was black.
Well, no, my first boyfriend in high school was Indian, so that's
Okay.
And then my second boyfriend was Mexican, but when I came home with like a serious boyfriend,
Oh,
where
okay.
you're like coming home,
feel
they're not
it.
worried about all those. They're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
whatever,
yeah, yeah.
passing. It's,
In the
it's high school.
teens, yeah.
But it was very interesting
Y'all
because
be
my
pimping over here.
because
man.
my mom's side of the family is highly educated, fluent. So I'm thinking they're going to be the enlightened ones, like they're going to be the ones that are accepting, and I was completely wrong. My dad's side of the family warmly welcomed him. They never even looked at him like twice as any different than us, and it was as I told you, it was my aunt on my mom's side of the family, and my mind was like blown. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, like I have to challenge my own assumptions about my beliefs about what causes racism.
Right.
And the other story I was going to tell, so I did grow up in Topeka, Kansas. My parents, in retrospect, now that I'm adult, this is crazy. My parents decided that the school systems in Kansas, the public school systems weren't good enough for us. And Kansas is actually a pretty diverse place, although a lot of people don't think it is. And that the only private schools were Catholic, and they didn't want to send me to an all-white Catholic school. So they got together with a bunch of other parents and started their own elementary school, which they sent me to from kindergarten through 8th grade. I went to the same 11 kids from kindergarten through 8th grade, and there was a mix. There were black and white kids in my class. No one ever taught me there was a difference because I was with the same 11 kids. There were 4 black kids, and then the rest were white.
Yeah.
But I didn't look at them any different, and my whole world was those 11 kids until high school. And then I went to a public high school, and my first day of public, which was very diverse, my first day of public high school, I went to gym class, and there was only one other white girl in the whole gym class, and we got jumped by 2 Latino girls in the locker room. And I literally did not understand what was happening. Like, I didn't understand any of it. I was like totally, first of all, I got beat up like real good for the first time in my life, but the second I was like, what? And then my gym teacher had to like explain to me.
On behalf of my Chola sisters, I'm sorry.
No, but my point is.
And now she's a professional boxer, y'all, so don't even come at her.
Yeah, don't come for Stacey, okay? She boxes, all right? I'm her manager when we go to Vegas.
It's true.
I was wondering why her knuckles are so big.
No, you should see her arms, dude. She is like not even
Hey,
kidding.
Marty, have you heard of Jane Elliott?
Yes.
You have, yeah. I think a lot of white people need to listen to a lot of things.
Oh, she's
that
amazing.
Jane Elliott talk about. Like, I remember experiments she did in class where she separated the brown eyes and blue eyes, and I just think that if white people put themselves in the shoes of black people, they will understand more of this is what they're going through, this is how they feel. But to take it back to the cancel culture, I just think that, man, when people cancel some people, they don't cancel them enough. It's kind of like they give them a slap on the wrist and let them get right back to it, to where it's like, no, like, you're canceled. We're going to make sure that you feel this. And them feeling it allows them to say, okay, I need to go understand where these people who are canceling me are coming from so that I can come back with a different mind state. And
so why do you think people do that? Like,
cancel people?
No, why do they go back to normal so fast? Like, people get, like you were saying, people get canceled, but then it's like
people get
a week
tired.
later.
You know, people get tired of, you know, even when I think about the protests, I think that people eventually just get tired. Like, man, I'm tired of being out here doing this all the time, and then that's why stuff becomes status quo. The reason why it's been so, it's been changing so much nowadays is because people they haven't gotten tired. People are still out here protesting. Like, I'm going to one on Sunday that's like Black Lives Matters in like West Hollywood area. So it's like people aren't getting tired, and it's keeping that pressure going. But other than that, like, a lot of times people get tired. When Martin Luther King was killed, they were rioted for, like, blacks rioted for 6 days, and we got the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Then after that, it was done. People stopped rioting. Where it was like, no, if they would have continued it to where it was a month or more process, it would have been like, damn it, we have to change more and stuff now because we're tired. You know, we're tired of them being on the streets. We're tired of the looting and all that stuff. But people just get tired. You know.
But what about like canceling somebody like Kanye?
Yeah, but like
why do we give him a pat? Like, why does he get a pass?
Because after a while, you know, sometimes people, they end up doing something that people like and agree with, and they follow that.
Really quick, I want to go in the chat box because, I mean, there's so many people going in the chat box, and I already.
If the Patriot is there, I want to hear what he's talking about.
Okay, and that's why I'm looking. Cause,
send him the address.
Shout out to everybody that's in the chat box. We got B Rich, Diddy, Katia, and Anna, Keith was in there, Ray and Baron's in there, but the Patriot, Diddy said, whoa, what did I come into? And then the Patriot said, what did he say?
He said he doesn't want to call in because he thinks it's a setup.
Okay, but
that sounds like fragility.
So he also, but he's in the chat box. He said, if white people are the problem, why do we want equality and acceptance from them? That's what he said. And then, hold on, and I already see you running for the mic. Hold on.
I want to answer that one.
Every race has their supremacy groups, and
he said that.
Yeah, Diddy said, I just want peace. But just to go really quick to the cancel culture, Diddy says, I'm not gonna lie, I don't agree with the cancel culture. And B Rich says it's problematic in the way it's mostly used. And then the Patriot says, actually, God says it's a sin to separate yourself based on groups or race. I can provide you the passage on your request. So he's very knowledgeable.
No, I read the Bible, and Jesus talked about the Gentiles and the Jews. That he was talking about two separate groups. So he wouldn't say Gentiles and Jews if it was all in one. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
Gentiles and Jews. And
just to
that's
go back
what
to
it
his
is.
comment, we are not looking for acceptance from white people. We are
Not at all. If it was up to the black people that I know, which I would say myself, maybe white people will go back to where they come from, which is
He knows
Europe.
I love you, Michael.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
tell him again.
if it was up to me, white people would just go to Europe and be there. They tell us to go back to where we come from.
If they only
Go-
want to be around white people, then
Yeah,
go to
go to
places
Europe.
that only has white people, because
Yeah.
America is based off of
diversity.
diversity and all of that. So
It's not like looking for acceptance, because if I look for acceptance from you, I am therefore still reinforcing that you have some sort of power. And that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to dismantle, is that there is no power. There should be no power. I'm sorry, there is power
No,
there.
there is power.
But there should be none. I shouldn't have to search for acceptance from my white counterparts, because we should all be accepting of each other and acknowledging of that. It's not about demeaning people. I'm not here saying like F all white people or white people don't deserve nothing.
No,
It's not like that. It's about let's have this open dialogue
Because-
to recognize that it exists, and let's work together to dismantle
I've met
it.
a lot of good white people who have good hearts, and that's why we call them allies, because they want to be good people and want to be a part of everything that we're going on. I see we have speaking. What's your name, sir?
Speaking of what's her name?
as you guys know, I had a full house here. I love having so many people in diversity in my studio. Ladies Night's about that, giving a platform to many voices. And you guys know me personally. You know that I surround myself with different people. And today, of course, I invited my friend Matt, and I've known Matt since middle school, high school? I don't even know.
What's your last name, Matt?
We go way back. Salem.
Salem.
Matt Salem.
Okay.
Westchester High School.
Yes,
Overwright Middle School.
That's right.
How many white people are at Westchester? Just curious.
20 of us, maybe.
20?
No, there was like a good what?
No, there was way more.
100, 150.
It was probably
Hey.
like 20% of the population.
Yeah,
25.
20%.
I went to Lusinger High School. It probably was 2 white people the whole entire time I went.
Santa Monica.
Oh yeah, so you were dealing with yeah. Wait, I got Ryan.
You guys know
Ryan?
Cyrus.
You know Ryan and Dennis McCrae?
Probably.
Yeah.
They're probably a little younger than me though.
What was the question that we were talking
Yeah,
about
no,
right
yeah, let me
now?
get
We
back.
get distracted.
We do get.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us. There's a lot of us.
And he may know my cousin. That's why I'm like, oh snap.
No, well, I want to give Matt the opportunity to speak, because I know you've been hearing a lot about what we got going on. Like, what are your thoughts of anything that you had?
Jackie, can I ask him a question?
No,
Oh, okay.
after he lets
You
out
can-
a little
you
bit.
can you can ask me a question, but I'll go ahead and answer this one. Basically, from what I've been hearing is that white privilege is a problem, but I haven't heard like what can we really do about it? Like, how do you? Because from what I've heard and read, that it's something that we carry. It's something that we have inside of us, whether we know that we have it or not. And it's like kind of like chasing a ghost, because how do you change something that you don't know you have? How do you know when you're not helping? How do you know that?
You gotta recognize it.
You gotta
But like
recognize it.
how? How do you recognize it?
'Cause you have to
right, like you
understand.
can be in a situation, right, and not know that because I'm white I'm getting away. Like you don't know that all the time.
You don't actually.
It's
You
just
don't.
Like
people-
that's
Because it's the air we breathe.
I've
Right,
been
so,
put
like,
in
it's-
situations
it's-
where the first time this good old boy I was with, I've done my thing in the entertainment industry for years, but he didn't understand until we went on tour together. He fully understands what white privilege is now. Being pulled over 12 times in Mississippi, trying to get out, but working there, was insane. He was like, "What are you guys doing? We're freaking out because we're supposed to. Cops showing up, hands up, everything." He's like, "What are you guys doing?" In the back seat, I'm like, "Bro, this is real deal." And for the cops to show up, and the first thing they ask is, "Are you okay back there, sir?" In the back
Facts.
seat, the one white guy. And it's like, in his mind, he couldn't fathom that was real. We pulled away. He had to go through that 6 more times. 5 or 6 times after that, he went through it. And then we swapped him out for someone else. But it was the kind of situation where people don't realize that until they see that. You
Yeah.
in the same car.
So,
But he knows now. That's what
So
I'm saying.
what I'm saying is what I feel that white Americans, European Americans have to do is to truly study these things so that they can know. Because most if you think of the biggest companies in the country, right? Who are the faces or who are the heads of those companies?
White man.
White men.
White
right?
man, Stacey.
So they are going to have the power to choose that I'm only hiring white male or female to come to my job, and it's for white male and females to know that, damn, I have this privilege. Do you know how many black people I know that who their portfolio is much better than their white counterparts, but didn't receive that job, and that's white privilege right there.
But that's
and
what he's saying, though.
no, I
Yeah,
know.
but that's what he's saying.
It's
He's
for-
asking.
It's for that. It's for that white person to challenge that and say, "Hey, like from me meeting these guys or people that I talk to, this guy is so qualified. Why didn't he get the job?" And getting to the center of that, and I think that's what's going to help. Like I was telling this white guy that I met during the protest, that I was telling him, are you going to keep this fight going? If you see a black male pulled over wrongly, where you're like, damn, what did he do? Are you going to pull over and be there and say, officer, what's going on? That's using your privilege the right way.
Not necessarily.
But
That's not necessarily. If I see someone getting pulled over, I'm not helping them, no matter what race they are.
Yeah, but
I'm not trying to get pulled over or messed with by the cops either. And I know that 99 times out of 100, that's going to be a losing battle for me as well, no matter what. Like, I can't just run up on a cop and be like, stop fucking with him. Because
Why not?
then I'm going to get arrested too.
Hold on.
Because then I'm going to get arrested too. Like, I don't think that it's separate like that.
So you wouldn't fight for what's right if you
If
see
I
a
s-
black male that's pulled over like, this dude didn't do shit. I've been behind
I don't
this
know
car
that.
the whole time.
But I don't know that. I don't know if he has warrants. I don't know if they're following him for a reason. Like, you don't know why they're getting pulled over. So you can't use that as...
And we don't know why we get killed by police officers.
Right. So, okay, but what is that? I can't help
but,
that.
I know, but I'm just saying that finding a way to use your privilege the right way. Well, if you know you're at a job that are not hiring these black people who are qualified, you stepping in and like, hey man, like I think that is wrong. That's using your privilege. You're using your voice. If you see someone that maybe you don't know why they're pulled over, but if you know like shit, what did he do wrong, that maybe you can use your voice to make a change. And that's what I think that black people don't receive from a lot of white Americans. They don't use their voice to make a change because, to be honest, your voice is stronger than mine in America. It's nothing I can go to these billionaires that look more like you and tell them. They're going to look at me, oh, you're just another black dude out here. I don't care what you're saying. But maybe if you, someone who's qualified and look more like them to say, hey, this is wrong, it kind of changes. That's kind of why people were writing for Bernie Sanders, because it's like this guy is fighting the good fight for not just people that look like him, but for people who don't look like him. And I think that we don't get enough of the others to fight for that when it comes to...
I also want to say this. I think that when you don't experience it, it's hard for you to see something. So I will say this. Like, I remember...
Study. Put yourself in the shoes.
But I get that. Yeah. But one thing that I do want to kind of say is, like, I recognize that my white passing has gotten me out of a lot of situations that most people like yourself or that are black would have not been able to get out of. One being, I remember one time I lost my ID at a Beyonce concert, so I had no driver's license. I went to get a new one, right? And then my tags had expired, and I had to pay like $800 on parking tickets. Like, I'm putting my shit out there, yeah. So I had no driver's license.
You're just breaking the law.
No, listen.
You're a criminal.
Listen, yeah. Well, damn it, yes.
Tell your
listen,
parents.
shut up.
They already know.
I'm muting all of you because you don't let me shut. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna say. When I got pulled over, like, I was literally, I had my nephew in the back. He was holding a birthday cake for my nephew that we're driving to Riverside, and I got pulled over. I think it was off the 105 freeway. I don't even know. But anyways, when I got pulled over, I'm thinking like that mentality, because my dad gave us that many talks. Like, you know, when you get pulled over, keep your hands on the wheels. Like, but he's telling this because he's a dark Mexican man, so his experience with the police is a lot different than my experience. So I'm like following everything. I'm shitting bricks, and I'm like telling my nephew, who's like in his 20s, I was like, okay, get ready. You're gonna call your mom. You're gonna drive my car, because I already know I'm done. And when they pulled me over, literally, I had no driver's license. I had no registration, and they should have taken my car. Let me just tell you, I didn't even get a ticket. I didn't get nothing. And it was literally the birthday cake. It said 5 years old, whatever it was. Me white passing. I had my glasses on. I was like, look at me. Like, I'm white passing. And I know that me looking white gives me a lot of opportunities like passings that you will never experience. If you would have gotten pulled over in my shoes, they would have taken your car, you would have probably been arrested, all that shit. And I understand that. So these are the things that I try to tell you, because I've been in certain places where I've been around my white friends, and they've gotten in fights, they act a mess, they throwing shit at bars, breaking shit, getting in fights. And, you know, like, they're like not even worried about the police. Where I've been around here, coming out the studio, and I do shows all the time here in the studio. And I remember there was like a group of 7 of them. They were all black, and we were leaving. It was like midnight. And I was the last person to leave because I was closing up, but they were all standing around talking, whatever it was. The police literally stopped and rolled up. and they were about to get off the car. As soon as I came out and I kind of waved like, oh, hi, officer, like they just kept going. But like, this is what the type of stuff that we have to understand, that I have a privilege by the way that I look. You have to understand that. I know one of your best friends is black, so I don't know how many stories he shares about with you, or if he's had any experiences. Maybe he doesn't have as many because he hangs out with you. But when it's a group of black people together, they go through things, and I've seen it firsthand. I've been in there, and I've seen it. The police harass them. So we need to speak up, like from being there. You know, people with this privilege, we need to speak up. We need to say something. We need things to change. And even if you don't pull over when you see the police officer pull somebody over, I get it. It's all about safety. I don't even really pull over when I see somebody have a flat tire, and I know how to change flat tires. But out of my safety, being a woman, I don't pull over for certain reasons. But those people that stopped and videotaped George Floyd getting killed, they had the choice to get up and leave and just keep walking, or stay there and see what happens. And them being there and videotaping everything has what resulted us to finally say enough is enough. We're done. This is not like the first killing, but this is the last. We're trying to make this the last killing. And us as like white or white passing need to realize our privilege and our power that we have. And that's what we're talking about.
And I want to add to that too, because I think we've gone around it a bunch, but I think there's like two ways that you have to think about it. And one is on an individual level, which is you as an individual, at least white or white passing, have to constantly challenge yourself and your own understanding of your environment. Yep. Right. And then like the situation with my aunt, and then another time I was actually in the car on the highway driving with the same guy, and I got pulled over, and the cop walked up to the side of my window and looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" Yeah. And I was like,
that happened to me too.
I was shaking. But I was shaking because I thought, like, I don't want to get, I don't want a speeding ticket. I don't want to lose my...
Same.
And I really didn't, like, understand for a minute. And then I was like, I was like, are you...
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything, right? Beyond that, other than get pissed. And the second circumstance that I already told you about was with my aunt. And so in retrospect, reflecting on those experiences, I realized it's those moments where I do have power.
Yeah.
I should have not, like, in anger, in violence, but I have to take those opportunities to challenge other people's beliefs when I know they're wrong. Like,
yes.
And the second piece of that is that we live in an institutionally racist society. Period.
Facts. Yep.
So, like, we all have a different ability to leverage and break that system down, but we have to recognize what our power is in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in there.
Oh my God, ladies' night is just getting to the next level. But popping champagne in the bathroom.
Stacy, what's your friend?
This is Matt.
So Stacy and Matt, like, to be honest, like, you guys have so much power when it comes to changing a lot of things around you, when it comes to race, because us as black people, it's like we can't do as much as you guys can, because you guys are, to be honest, in power. You know what I'm saying? So you guys' voice means so much more to the whole situation. So if you guys are being that difference, and it's affecting your friends and your family, and it creates more voices, then it can be so much more impactful than a bunch of black folks going out and protesting, a bunch of black folks speaking up. Because you can look at the history of the civil rights movement with Martin, with Malcolm. You can see when the Black Panthers were trying to do it the correct way, what happened to them. So it's like, what can we really do as far as black people?
One of the things you can do, and so one of the other problems I think with white people in America right now is that we like to over-intellectualize everything. Mm-hmm. So, like, we can study.
Yeah.
But if we don't put ourselves in situations where we are uncomfortable then listen. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to listen to what's actually happening. We need to we have to really stop. Let me understand your experience.
Yeah.
Like, let me really understand it. Not let me, like, just listen to your story and be like, oh, man, it really sucks that you got pulled over by the cops for no reason and got thrown in jail. Like, I have to listen to you. I have to understand your experience. And we don't do that very well. Like, we like to go out and protest. We like to, like, read about civil rights. But I feel like that last piece of it, which is, like, true empathy, truly trying to understand, this last couple
why
weeks
am I truly
has been,
here?
Like, real interesting for us, because him getting really emotional about things, I have to really understand where that's coming from, and it's coming from a different experience of my own.
You guys are dating?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Dope.
But we have something to learn from each other,
One guy
right?
in the room had no clue.
No, I didn't know.
But for real, but like that, and that was one of the things that really frustrated me about this last
Yeah.
protest and rioting, which is the media immediately wanted to separate the rioters from the protesters.
Yeah.
The rioters are peaceful. Aren't peaceful, and they're not with Black Lives Matter.
Not rioters, looters.
All of them. All of them. But
there's
my
all of them
point
that
was
were in
like,
there.
if you stopped and watched the news and they were picking up these random interviews of people looting and rioting, if you listened, so some people are out there just to get stuff, right?
No, yeah.
But other people, and there's probably a reason they're
There's
out there
a reason,
trying to
yeah.
get stuff. But then there were other people, and if you listened to it, those are the times that actually like brought me to tears. And this whole circumstance was the anger
Right.
that people were feeling towards the way they've been treated for their whole lives.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
And like we wanted to dismiss that and say like, oh well, the violence is unnecessary, and no, like listen to why the violence is happening, and
Yeah.
then really like what does that mean? And
Sometimes
what,
you're-
But really
to
quick,
change
Michael,
that?
before you start, I do want to bring a point. Like, there's a lot of people that are like Matt that like don't see it. So this is why these platforms are important for people to speak and not attack people like that, because some people,
Oh, yeah, of course,
because
yeah.
they've never seen it or felt it, they don't understand it.
because
Right.
it's,
Well,
it starts.
it's not that I don't see it.
Okay.
I just don't think it's I don't think it's at the forefront of the issues that are holding everyone back from getting where they want or being who they want to be. I think that, yeah, race is a part of it, for sure. Racism is everywhere all the time, no matter what. But I don't think, so you're saying, like you were saying, like black people don't have the type of platform that white people have, and I think you do. Obviously it's not as big, but black people do have a powerful platform. You know, there's plenty of black people with money in power that can persuade people to do the right thing, and it's not.
No, true.
You know, like you think of every athlete. You think of 90% of the athletes. You think of a bunch of the music industry. You think of, you know, it's not just that either. You know, there's black police officers. There's black mayors, governors. Like there's people there in power, and in order for things to change,
But they don't. They try to shut you up. Look at
but-
Colin Kaepernick.
no,
They
but-
said you shut up and play. Stop kneeling and play. Look at
Jackie.
LeBron.
right? But like no one else stood up with him.
Jackie,
Or that's-
can-
No,
that's
there was a lot of people that were.
It was
there was a lot.
What I can tell you the difference is hey, Matt, you're right. There's a lot of black people in power, but the difference is when you talk about athletes, right? Who are the owners of these teams? They're white people. So I can't. If my white owner is telling all of my black players, if you guys kneel, you're going to be fined, or you're going to be off the team.
That was a Dallas Cowboy. one
Yeah, I
right
can't
there.
do it. You know what I'm saying? So I can't truly have that power. Like, you think of the NFL, there's no black owners. So it's like you're not going to be able to control everything that you want to. And even in the NBA, which is primarily black, and people think it's so black control, there's only one black owner, which is Michael Jordan, who had to go through so much just to be. He had to be the greatest basketball player of all time. He had to be the biggest brand of all time just to have an ownership of a team.
But I think I wanna understand.
The thing that comes from change though is changing how the government works, right? So like
True.
it doesn't ownership in that sense doesn't matter when it comes to voting and putting the right people that you want in positions that are going to help the government change, right? So like right now,
I don't believe that.
There's more than just that piece, right? So like it's incumbent of a bunch of things, and part of it is when you talk about the voting part, it's hard because there's corruption all throughout the government, regardless.
But that's an extremely white perspective too.
Facts.
Like that's what we were trying to say. Like that's.
So you don't think there's corruption in the government?
No, we
No,
believe
course.
anything.
Yes.
I'll say
Okay.
this: anything that white people have touched, corruption, 100%. They've changed everything. So I don't believe. I mean, I read stuff.
Black people can't be corrupt.
I don't believe that.
No, black
whoa,
people
whoa, whoa.
can.
Hell yeah, they can be corrupt.
But
hell yeah.
we aren't most of
Right.
the politicians. Like, I can't go as a black people. Well, let's all vote for this person, because a lot of, I'm gonna be
Why
honest.
not?
A lot of these
Why not?
politicians, I'm gonna tell you, a lot of these politicians don't truly have black interests. They do it for the votes. You know what I'm saying? Joe Biden is.
Well, I'm not
right
saying
here
vote for the black guy. I'm saying
not-
vote for the person
but what
that
if I-
stands for the policies that you care
But
about.
what if I tell you that there's no one in politics that are for black interests? They're just their interests are not for black politics. for the things we're asking. But
all right,
I know
guys, we
can
got to
go
wrap
on
up.
all
I
day,
know
yeah.
we can keep going. We've reached our max on time. I let us go an extra 30 minutes, but I definitely would love to continue this
Hey,
conversation.
Keith,
if you
we
guys...
going 2 hours. Give us
No,
30. Nah,
no, I'm not. Keith can say yes, but I'm not going.
No, I know.
I definitely appreciate all of you guys for coming for Ladies Night. But you know, Ladies Night is this, wait, hold on, you're not going just yet. You came to talk.
We're sharing.
We're sharing the mic. We got to end on a good time because at the end of the day, we're all gonna have our own perspectives and voices, and I love that. And we need that. So, but I like to end on a fun time. So we're gonna go ahead and play a quick game of Truth or Shot. And Michael, we'll start with you. Are you ready, Michael?
Wait, does everyone have a drink though?
No, give me some bubbles.
please, please.
Hey, this might be my last time getting on the show talking about this. I get too fired up.
But
That's
it's
not a bad
fine.
thing.
No, I know.
But Keith is like, we can keep going, but we're going to wrap it up. If you guys want to hear more of this, tune in next week. Ladies Night Radio Show every Friday at 7:30. I usually go until 8:30, but I extend it an extra 30 minutes just because there's so many of us here in the studio, and I know everybody wants to be heard. So, if you listen to Ladies Night, we like to get a little ratchet in here. We have some drinks, we play some games, and we're going to go ahead and play a Truth or Shot. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Michael. And Truth or Shot, Michael, you ready?
Yep.
If someone offered you $100,000 to do a porno, would you do it?
Yep.
Damn, not even a hesitation.
Yeah, especially like she's a beautiful woman. I'm like, skip it. Let's have fun.
Let's have fun. Okay.
Let's just say it's not a beautiful woman. You gotta do some granny.
She a woman.
Oh my God, you're a hot mess.
It's for $100K. I can do a lot with the $100K.
Marty,
so.
are you ready?
Oh God, Okay.
Sound effects included.
I don't like losing.
It's not. It's,
Hey,
it's a
okay.
Truth
Hey,
or
Jackie,
Shot.
me and Marty might drop $100,000 video. You know what I'm saying?
My count might drop 100,000. I might be in the video.
Okay.
There's a
Yeah.
difference.
No, we
if-
gonna make $100K on it. That's what
Marty, if you started an OnlyFans page, what would your page be about?
Oh my God.
It's a Truth or Shot, so you don't have to answer it.
What would it be about? I mean, I know there's a lot of people that have like foot fetishes. Maybe I would just do that.
Wait, I need to hear that again. What was it?
Foot fetish.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have like foot fetishes,
Oh,
I
you
could do
should do
that.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
I could support the family.
So you're saying
Yeah.
a whole page just to your feet?
Maybe. I don't know.
That's
I mean,
true. There are some
even if
people
it's
just
like
for that.
$10, that's more than money that I have.
$10 a month subscription. You can get like 10,000 people.
All right. All right, Stacey, I got one for you. Where's the craziest place you've had sex?
He's going to be like, that wasn't me.
Hey, so what that means is
You can take a
save
shot.
the correct
Take a
answer.
shot. Take a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cyrus, you want to play, Cyrus? Okay, Cyrus. What's your go-to porn?
Damn. That's deep.
You guys got a problem. I'm doing my shot now.
Oh
that's
my
deep.
God. All right, Matt, you ready?
Jackie, I think you used us
Fire
against
away.
each other right here.
I know, right?
think that was
No. Everyone else can take shots.
Matt, which sexual act are you best at?
Damn.
Sexual act?
Yeah.
That's
There's
deep.
tequila in here
The
somewhere.
whole penetrating part, probably.
That's the whole experience. You cheating.
Easy. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anna, you want to play?
No.
So Anna,
There's no choice here. There's no choice.
do you like to throw it back or have it thrown back?
I can't. Don't be asking people that.
No, I just want to know.
That's funny. I'll do an easy one for an Anna because she's
Yeah.
very. If you had to get rid of one sport, professional sport, which one would you get rid of? Say soccer.
Because if you say the
Do
wrong
not say soccer.
No, I wouldn't say soccer.
Wait, time out. 'Cause
I was just trying to get to Matt. Matt's a
One
soccer
of
guy.
those European ones. Sorry, Europe.
Rugby or something?
Okay.
Something.
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse.
Badminton. What about
That one.
badminton?
Hey, if she would have said the wrong one, she's
Badminton or
racist.
something.
All right, you guys.
Cricket. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and wrap up and give out where people can find you guys if you want to be found. If not, give your last words for the people and the ladies' night. Go ahead, Michael. Start us off, kid.
All right, hey, you can find me, Michael the PG, Instagram, Twitter, Michael Matthew on Facebook, MATHIU. Courtside Radio every Thursday, 6:30, 6 o'clock with the quarantine. You can find me on the Good News Radio. Don't at me with Michael and Alex, me and my Jewish buddy. We going to work, doing a lot of great things. So much, hey, you don't understand how much it's moving. So,
Hey, and make sure you tell them about the podcast.
what you mean? Podcast Pit?
Yeah.
Of course, Podcast
It's coming
Pit.
back, y'all.
Hey, the Podcast Pit will be back. Make sure y'all show up. Y'all get to meet me, so that's a big part of it. Then the greatest part of it, you get to meet Jackie. Mysterious Jax is in the building.
Not everybody can.
And you get to come give her. Yeah, we only allow 20 people to meet her at each show because she's that special. So you better be in that first 20. We only doing handshakes, no hugs, because it is
if
Mysterious
you send me
Jax.
drinks, you get moved up in the list.
Yes.
Tequila specifically.
Tequila, because if you want to meet Tequila Jax, come to Podcast Pit and buy her shots. And it's
That's
gonna be
right.
lit.
All right, Anna. You want to say bye to the people?
Yeah, I just want to say some last words. There's no right entry point to this. So if you want to come in and you're like just reading a book, just reading an article on it, just reposting, doing a protest, don't let anyone guilt you into like, you have to do this or you have to think this. Like, part of the work is also self-transformation. So there's no wrong way. If you are deciding today, you're making a choice that I want to learn more and I want to like uncover some things, then kudos for you. You already started that.
That's right. Do you want them to follow you on Instagram or not?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. All right, Cyrus, let them know.
Man, you
what's
better
up.
get these people
Anna's,
your IG.
if you guys thought I was mysterious, Anna's even more mysterious.
Anna, are you married?
Maybe.
No. You better share your
Maybe.
IG then.
Maybe she has 4 kids. Maybe she doesn't.
Maybe.
Thanks for allowing me to talk today a little
Of
bit.
course,
share my
Cyrus.
opinion.
You know, next time I'm going to make you just my guest. I know I always bring
I'm ready.
Stacy, but, you know, next time I'm just going to bring you, okay?
Hey, let's do it. I've done about 20 of these.
White privilege.
Done about 20 of
Stacy
these,
said
though.
white privilege.
See, hey Jackie, I need to talk
But,
to you after the show now. She just opened my
Peeps.
eyes about this.
You know?
Peeps can
Let's do
check me
it.
out, though, always on everything. I'm at Cyrus MTV, SYRUS MTV, TikTok, Instagram, and
yes, he was on The Real World.
Twitter. Yeah, all that good stuff. Yeah, Cyrus MTV.
If you don't know The Real World, then
I knew he looked
This show
familiar.
is, you're too young for this show. You're
I
too
knew
young
he
for
looked
this
familiar.
show.
I was like, bro, look, I see him somewhere.
Wait, what show?
The Real World.
Real world. Anna, you probably don't watch it, so.
I don't watch reality TV, y'all. I'm sorry.
Stop it. If you don't know what The Real World is, you're too young for this show anyways. Go ahead, Stacey.
I'm going to go off of what Anna said, too, and just say I think the most powerful thing we can all do is dialogue like
Yes.
this, where we are able to
Communication,
talk
yep.
to one another. And actually, I learned a lot from this discussion, and I'm sure I will be marinating on things like in my sleep that I don't even know hit me in this conversation. So thank all, like for real, thank all of you guys for
I love that.
sharing it. And I think we have to do more of this, and more of this where we have like strongly conflicting viewpoints so that we all come to learn something.
And that's
from
how you
one
do
another.
it. We got to have these discussions, even if it makes us uncomfortable. We have to.
So thank you, Jackie.
Thank
for
you.
real, for
Thank
bringing
you.
this conversation together. You can find me at Harlem_zoo.
Yes.
I'm also a mysteriously private person, so good luck.
She has to approve you. Let's go with Matt next, right here.
Yeah, I don't really have any closing statement.
Do you want
It's
people-
just,
Go
you
ahead.
can find me on Instagram at CoachMatt15.
All right.
That's it.
That's it. You don't want
That's it.
nothing else to say?
No, I'm good.
All right. Take a shot of tequila over there, Matt.
Hey y'all, I'm Madi on the mic, and you know me, I love to just be all about this politics and stuff, but I think more importantly it's about humanity. So I know typically we ended on a cheers, and I just really want to cheers everybody that's been in the chat box, that's been listening, that has been like actively working on themselves, and you know, we can't change other people, but we can change ourselves and hope that our growth and our light really inspires others, and that's what really it's about, is becoming the better you. And hopefully this next week is all about that for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. I really appreciate everybody that was in the chat box. We have Be Rich, Crazy Maria, Diddy, Ray, The Patriot, Anna, Kathy, Keith, and everybody that just shared. You know, even if you don't agree with us, I appreciate you guys checking in and just listening and sharing your perspective. That's what it's about. And like I said, I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't use my platform to talk about these type of conversations, even if it makes us uncomfortable, even if it makes us question friends and family. Like, we just want to make sure that we talk about it and you know, change it for the good. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Please share us with your friends. And I'm your host, Mysterious Jax. This is Ladies Night Radio Show. And just remember one thing, ladies.
You are enough.
Love you guys. Tune in next week.
Some boy could have big like Bam Bam Bigelow. Bust off trigger finger, trigger hand and trigger toe. I two gun me up, me bust them in a stereo.